So if you've seen my videos, you know I collect a lot of stuff. Pins, brochures, magnets. How on earth did I get started with all of this? And keep it up. You may have seen my collection before. I've done a couple videos about it. And everybody's got their hobbies. And this one has kind of grown. But it actually started off with when I was a kid. So I thought it would be a little fun to talk about how I started collecting and gathering stuff and how it's just kind of grown over the years. I actually started off with just brochures as a kid and pennants. In fact, I've actually got some of my old pennants hiding up there. Yes, I still have some of the ones from when I was a kid. But brochures and maps were really one of the first things I started collecting because we always did vacations on the cheap. I mean, really cheap when I was a kid. Uh, we did Disney, like, the very first time I did Disneyland, I was 10 years old, I believe. And we didn't have money for souvenirs. We weren't allowed to spend money on souvenirs. Everything we'd had gone to the trip. And so one of the very first things that I got at Disneyland was actually the brochure, the little map book. And so this is Disneyland. And that was what I brought home as my souvenir, was my map book from Disneyland. That very first trip, well, this is my second trip, 1985, and then 1988, my grad night. This is what I kept, and over the years, I've lost the Marriotts and the Marine World Africa USA, my first Disneyland one. I have lost some of them just because kids trying to keep things over the years. But this was my very first collection and memories of my trips that I took. And it began early on to become a habit that when I went to a park, that I would grab the maps, I would grab the brochures, and those became the souvenirs that I brought home and that I kept. Because we couldn't buy anything else. Like I said, I think I got pennants and that was about it. And so the map books really became the very first thing I collected. After that, when I began to have a little bit of money in high school and college in particular, the magnets became part of it. Every time I went somewhere, I picked up a magnet. Because I found a lot of places would have magnets that wouldn't have necessarily maps or brochures. Not just theme parks, but national parks and cities, and everywhere you go, there's a magnet. And so I got the free maps and brochures, and then the paid magnets became kind of my other big collection that has grown. And I remember when I first got married, I started off with, really, it was a metal panel that was about yay big, and that kept all my magnets on it. And now you can see I've got the 3 file cabinets full. I've got another file cabinet over there. The pins became something else. And the channel is actually, for all these brochures and the pins, the channel is actually partially to blame. Yes, it is partially all your fault. So the brochures really took off. I've just heard a bump. That was my cat jumping up on the table. We're going uncut on this one. Hey, so you get everything. But the brochures, when people started realizing that I collect brochures, they begin to mail them to me. And so it's kind of really grown. But I've also written to parks. I've written to companies. You know, hey, do you have stuff that you could send me? I've actually got some things that a couple parks sent me that are no longer around. When I was a teacher, I actually wrote to a couple parks and asked them, can you send me stuff to show my students, you know, as part of a project? And so Cedar Point actually mailed me a map the one year, and then I got roller coaster parts and science kits and brochures, and I found out that by writing to the parks, you can get free stuff. And it was like, this is kind of cool. Not only did I share it and give it out to all my students, but I then began writing for myself as well. So yeah, Turtle, don't be rubbing on my microphone. My cat is right here. It's like, ooh, toy. So we're going to be giving you some ASMR feels there. I don't know. But that's where the brochures have come from. The pins actually started the very first time we took our kids to Disneyland. In 2001, Disney pin collecting and pin trading was kind of a new thing. It started 2001, really. They've been making pins before that, but it was really around that time that they began making pins specifically for trading. We'd heard about this. We wanted our kids' trip to Disneyland to be the most fun and memorable thing ever. And so we had gotten 4 pins from booking with Disney Travel Company, and I actually bought a few other pins. I'm trying to remember if I got them before we went to the park. I think as soon as we got there, I had a little bit of budget. Let me buy the kids an initial stock of pins as cheap as I can get, and then we'll let them trade. And so the kids were initially the ones who started the pin trading, and somewhere both of the kids, I believe, still actually have their lanyards with their initial pins on them. And if you look at them now, they're, for the most part, the pins aren't really anything to write home about. Amber, I think, has the Fantasia whale. One of them has Mickey or Goofy on a jet ski. A couple of little things like that. They're nothing great, but for the kids at the time, it was this amazing experience to be able to go and trade pins. And then, hey, there's another pin I like better. And so pin trading was really cool for them. So they were the first ones to have pins. I think I've got one of the lanyards around somewhere, just the lanyard. But really, it was all them. They were the ones that did the initial pin trading. And then when I went to Disney to work, that started to kick the habit. Because as a cast member, we could buy pins on discounts. We had big parking lot sales where we could buy pins. And I would give pins out. My daughter's phone would ring while I'm recording.
Sorry.
And so I began to pick up pins that way. They were an inexpensive gift to be able to give. Had fun pin trading. Collected a bunch, which are in the binders here, that are cast member pins only. And that's when I began to trade and really kind of get hooked. Had a lot of fun with it. Probably had a couple hundred pins or so when we moved to Missouri. And, at that point, Missouri's not near Disney. Don't know anybody with pins. And so it kind of held steady there for a while and didn't do anything else with it. And then the channel again. And people started asking about what I kept when I was working. And they began to send me other pins, and they began to fill in collections. So one of the very first things that happened with the channel was that I had these amazing Figment pins, which, let's see, that I absolutely loved. I collected while I was working, and it's this whole series on the bottom, but I was missing one. There was one pin I could not get, and that was the Canada pin. It drove me crazy. I could not find that pin when I was there. Couldn't find it online. Then by the time we moved, it was like, oh, well, I'm never going to get this pin. And one of my viewers sent it to me. And I actually opened it up on a live stream. And, goodness, I have to go back. I don't remember exactly who it was that sent it to me. I want to say it was Richard in Canada, but I could be wrong. But I opened that pin up, and I started crying. It was like, oh, my goodness, here is that pin I've been looking for forever. And that really kind of kicked the craze off again, because, hey, now all of a sudden I can collect pins online. And yeah, it has really exploded since then. I've now got close to 1,000 pins. I actually told my son this is an inheritance for him. But it's really been kind of neat. But at the same time as I've kind of grown the collection, I've also realized that there's other holes that I would love to fill. Because I've got these series of older pins that I never quite finished the series of them. So, for example, I've got these princess pins. And these are ones that I really loved. But they're not complete sets. They're all missing a couple. And so I would love to be able to finish those sets up and fill those in. I've got a couple other newer sets that I've got. I can show you some better pictures of them. I'll probably splice those in. But it's really become kind of a fun hobby. But at the same time, it's become a messy hobby because I've run out of space. So my birthday presents this year have been some new binders, some. They don't make these pages I just showed you anymore. So we've been doing some digging, and my daughter just bought these for me. They're actually meant for stamp collecting, but when you double them up, they're actually a double thickness. That's actually firm enough for pins. And then the other thing that I've bought is pinfolio pages. And it's almost like a thick foam page. It's set up, it's designed specifically for pins. And it's this big thing. It'll fit into the binder and hold all the pins on it. But just trying to get all the pins organized. And I've got some on the displays. My other problem is I don't have wall space to put them up there. I actually have posters I haven't put up yet. But it's been kind of neat to see how the collection has grown just from some old brochures when I was a kid to what it is now. And when we have company over, they're like, oh, can I look? And they have fun browsing through all of this stuff. It's amazing, some of the things I've gotten here. Old defunct parks, current ones, and all sorts of stuff. And then the pins have actually grown to beyond just Disney, to the point now where I have 2 binders that are all sorts of other parks. Silver Dollar City and Cedar Point, Kings Island, Busch, and all sorts of other stuff too. So the pins are actually supplanting the magnets. I still get the magnets, but I'm finding myself buying more pins than magnets anymore. So, because there's parts now that it's funny, you're starting to see the magnets disappear, but the pin's growing. I don't know. But anyways, that's a little look at the collection, how I got started with it, where it came from, and why that. And I'm grateful because so much the viewers like you have sent things that have filled in, just been amazing. A lot of my most prized pins have come from viewers, and magnets, and brochures, and it's amazing. So what do you collect? I would love to hear your stories about what you collect and why you collect it. How did you get started on that? That would be so much fun. I'd love to hear it. Please share it in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching, for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Hope you found this interesting. Do you want to know more? Let me know. Thanks so much. God bless. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, your ideas. Be sure to share them in the comments below, or you can contact me. There's information in the description that has my email address, fan pages, information about merchandise, and so much more. So be sure to check that out. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and if you haven't already, hit the button right up there to subscribe. And in fact, if you did enjoy this, I've even got another video for you right here. And also about these wonderful people here, those are my YouTube members and my patrons, the ones whose financial support makes this possible. I couldn't do it without them. If you want to know more about that and the perks that come with it, well, be sure to check the description. There's a link right down there. Thank you so incredibly much. God bless.